Hey everyone, welcome to the channel where we love to talk about movies. Welcome especially if you're new. Here today we're going to talk about Sisu. I don't know that they ever actually say the word in the film for me to know how that I is pronounced, but I'm going to call it Sisu. This is a movie I just saw today in Dolby, and yeah, we're going to talk about it here. This movie is about when an ex-soldier who discovers gold in the Lapland wilderness tries to take the loot into the city. Nazi soldiers, led by a brutal officer, battle him. This will be mostly spoiler free, but I guess there's a couple things that get into spoilers, mainly with like how things end. Yeah, technically this will be a spoiler review, even though in my opinion there's not a ton to spoil in the film. So if you want my just like quick take on the film, overall it's a letter grade of a C for me. That means it's just okay. It's not one that I'd go out of my way to recommend or even recommend if you're looking for something to watch. But if you think you're interested in it, it wasn't so bad that I would say don't go see it. It was just kind of fine. So with that though, let's get into what I liked about the film. I thought it was really cool that they basically had a silent protagonist. He technically has like two lines at the very end, but that I thought worked, especially for this film. And I know like I've seen some videos and like discussion lately about like Nintendo making a like Nintendo universe of movies, and they're like, well, how do you do a Zelda movie? Like Link's just silent in the game. So like, Link isn't silent in the games. He is quiet, but he talks, although we don't always hear what he says. But it's very clear that he does have lines of that like he interacts with people in a way that like means that he's speaking. But Link does talk, but even if he didn't or was extremely quiet, like people are like you can't have a protagonist like that. Well, here's a case in point of a protagonist who has literally two lines of dialogue the entire film, and it works. So maybe it's this type of story that makes it work, but that was just something at the top of my mind, and I thought that was cool that it was basically a silent protagonist. I thought the music was pretty good, but I feel like it was only present in the first half and then it just kind of went away. Maybe that's not accurate, but that was my impression because when the credits started to roll and the music started to play, I'm like, hey, where's this music been for a while? I remember it at the beginning, but not anytime recently. I, yeah, sort of give it a thumbs up for the music, the little bit that we got, but then like, why didn't they do that for the whole film? I don't really know. I thought it was very violent, which is probably what you want for this sort of a film. But at the end of the day, the action wasn't very good. It was very. I mean, it's not very good in this day and age, in my opinion, when we have a lot better action movies, like when you've got a John Wick to compare it to. This was just fine. There's a lot of quick takes and cuts, and that's fine. It's just not an impressive action movie, in my opinion. I thought there was a lot in this movie that required me to suspend belief, and maybe that was the point. This guy is supposed to be immortal, and that's kind of the point of the character, but that's like one of a thing like the quickest way to turn me off from a movie is having me to like say hey that doesn't make sense or have me suspend belief, and this movie did it all the time. Like so many cases of like why don't they just shoot him, why are they now hanging him, why like how did nobody see him here or there, and then like why is he just like camping out by a truck thinking they're not now still after him, and it's just like one thing after another that I felt like just didn't make sense. And when it's a constant throughout the movie, it ends up being one that I don't actually enjoy. And like that's the main reason for the letter grade of a C for me is that was just a turnoff for the film. But there were some things that I liked, like the setup of him, digging for gold, finding gold, and that's what's driving him to, go on this journey, and then having it be set at the end of the war so that these Germans are now interested in that backpack full of gold. I thought that was good. They're like, hey, this is our only way to set ourselves up after this war because hey, we basically lost, so let's try to get some gold and make the best of it. So that made sense enough. I didn't have a problem with that. It was everything kind of in between that was like, okay, I don't really buy that. And also like how I don't I maybe have to look it up. Initially, maybe I'm wrong. Initially, I feel like if you were hung that way, you'd be dead. But even after then hanging and like then surviving by like latching on to the post, like wouldn't you bleed out by morning? Like he was bleeding all night and still bleeding in the morning. How like I don't think you have that much blood. And so it's things like that. And I was like, hey, this guy should be dead already, and there's no reason I can think of why he's still alive. But or how his wounds aren't getting infected or anything. He treats some of them, but like I don't know. I feel like you can only do so much. So I think it goes beyond the point of belief for me, and yeah. But I thought it was very well shot. It was a very clean looking film. A lot of like, yeah, it was just a very nice looking film. So I did appreciate that. And then the last kind of nitpick I had with it, I didn't really understand why the Germans were all speaking English. Maybe that's because like they're interacting with some of the Finns and that they assume that that's a common language both people will know, but then even talking amongst themselves, like why aren't they speaking in German? I think that would have added a layer of realism to the film. And then you might like sometimes like okay, I guess they're just not doing that. Not every film has to do that. It's like it's fine that they're just doing German accents, whatever. It'd be I think a lot more authentic to have them speaking German. Like show like get some other languages that aren't just English in films. And some do it, but like when you have a very good occasion like this to do so and you don't, I don't know. But anyway, I was like, I guess they're not doing that in this film. And then they had the Finns speaking Finnish at the end. So I'm like, why do you have the Finns speaking Finnish but not the German speaking German? I don't really get that. That seems like I don't know. So that was just a nitpick, but yeah, overall it was just okay. It wasn't a bad film, but it didn't really do anything to impress me overly much. I think it's a fairly shallow film. It's this guy has reasons to kill a bunch of Nazis, and he kills a bunch of Nazis, and and if that's what you're looking for in the film, you're gonna enjoy it. I personally need a little bit more substance than that. I need some good story and characters, and I mean it was an interesting enough character for what he was, but like it's not overly interesting for me to like hold my attention for it throughout the whole film. So overall, this one's a C. It's just fine. If you've had a chance to see it though, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hopefully you did like it more than me. I certainly don't hope everyone just had a fine experience with it. But yeah, share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe. And with that, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.